This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
Eddie Michaels was a mild-mannered history teacher who volunteered as a retained ICE officer on weekends. It was a task he had only recently jumped at after seeing a touching documentary on the increase in unlawful border crossings over the last 12 months. Over the weekend, he had been deployed in his first covert operation. The group had successfully detained 13 individuals. Now it was Monday, and he wore his best sports coat, a fresh shave, and a smile on his face, thanks to the community service he had given the township. So this discovery, first by the Russians and later by the global community, before the advent of the United Nations, remember, this changed the game. All of a sudden, we were not dealing with enemy combatants. Now we were dealing with war criminals. This was a completely different ballgame altogether, he said, addressing his Monday morning class. Any questions? Or have I lost some of you? The class looked on, some with glazed expressions. Cynthia, can you tell me why the discovery of the camps changed the classification of some of the captured German infantry? He asked. A shy girl, 3 rows from the back, blushed. It's okay, take your time. There are no wrong answers in this room, he said with a smile. Is it because they weren't firing their guns? She asked. No, Cynthia. Up until the Allies advanced, these men were very much firing their guns, Mr. Michaels said. The class murmured with chuckles. It's okay. Hey, don't be like that. There are no wrong answers. Besides, I don't see any one of you making an effort to answer the question, he said as he circled the room. Come on, doesn't anyone want to have a go? The Allies advance and they get a look at these camps. Auschwitz, Buchenwald. Why did the discovery of these places change the game? A skinny kid, mild-mannered, who usually kept to himself, raised a hand. Stephen, wow. Thank you for raising your hand, son. Yes. Please, can you answer the question? Because of the atrocities? He said in a shallow voice. That is right, because of the atrocities. Well done, Stephen, Mr. Michaels said. Well done, Meeman, Tommy Tedesco mimed from the back of the class, which was met with uproar. Tedesco, you just got a detention. Congratulations, and see you after class, Eddie returned serve with a grin. Tedesco rolled his eyes as he continued to not pay attention. Michaels returned his focus to the quiet kid. Tell me, Stephen, why were these atrocities so-called game changers in the eyes of the Allies? He asked. Because the Allies realized they would need to prosecute the soldiers and generals rather than just release them. It was the first time a court of law would be used after a conflict, he said. Michaels raised his eyebrows and curved his lips in astonishment. That's absolutely right, he said. Well done, Stephen. I'm very impressed. How did you find this out? He asked. Stephen shrugged. Did you have relatives in the war? He asked. No. Well, I'm very impressed because that is the sort of sophisticated answer I would expect from a university pro. I like to read about abuses of power, Stephen said, cutting the teacher off. Oh, why's that? Because it gives us a good indication of where we might be headed. Those that ignore history are doomed to repeat it, the kid said. Mr. Michaels began to laugh. That's exactly right, Stephen, exactly right, he said as he took a piece of chalk and marched over to the board. He rubbed out the prior text with his sleeve and began to write out the agreed-upon quote. Those that ignore history are doomed to repeat it. He underlined the entire quote. That's why we run these classes, students. Your knowledge of history today will make you ideal citizens of tomorrow, he said. They rounded up Jews on the streets to ship them off to the camps, all packed inside these narrow train carts and driven off on the train tracks, Stephen said. That's right, Stephen. We will be getting to the Holocaust specifically, but for now I want to just concentrate on the lead-up to the surrender. Remember, at this point in history, the Allies weren't aware of the atrocities. Not to any extent anyway. Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. Stephen said in a panicked tone. Yes, we have established that, Stephen, Michaels said. Is everything all right, son? He asked, taking a few steps towards his student. They rounded them up on the streets first, Stephen said, his voice growing delirious. Stephen, do you need the nurse? Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, Stephen said. Edwards, call the nurse, Mr. Michaels said to a student closest to the classroom exit. The student raced out of his chair and out the door, his footsteps squeaking along the corridor to the office administration. They rounded them up first, then shipped them off. They knew. They knew. They knew, Stephen said as he flung himself backwards, his head hitting the linoleum floor. The students shrieked. "Stephen!" yelled Mr. Michaels. He raced over and knelt by his student. He cupped the back of his head into the palm of his hand and could feel the warmth of the kid's blood pooling into it. "You knew. You rounded them up. You shipped them off. Those who are ignorant of history will repeat it," Stephen said. "Stop it, Stephen. You're delirious. Just stop it," Mr. Michaels said, growing agitated. "You're complicit in murder. You rounded them up and shipped them off. Those who ignore are doomed to repeat." Stephen began to scream. "Stop it! Those who ignore, stop it, are doomed. Shut up!" Michaels dropped his student's head and allowed it to hit the floor hard. Stephen was immediately unconscious. There was a silence in the room as those gathered around the ailing student wondered if what they saw had really just happened. "Mr. Michaels, did you just kill Stephen?" Wendy Aiken asked. Michaels couldn't speak. He looked down at his pupil, lying in a pool of blood. He regained his nerve and attempted to downplay the incident. He was delusional. "His head fell out of my hand," he said. Nurse Jane entered the classroom and jogged to the back of the room. "Give him space, kids. Give us all space," she said. Michaels stood from his kneeling position and addressed the nurse before being asked. "His head rolled out of my hands," he said. She wasn't paying attention. She immediately began rendering first aid. Michaels turned to another student whose mouth was wide open and had been for the duration. "His head rolled out of my hands," Michaels said. The student said nothing but looked away, mouth still ajar. Michaels exited the classroom with 20 minutes remaining, while Nurse Jane continued her CPR, mouthing to himself, "His head rolled out of my hand."
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.